Hey everybody, welcome to the Gno Developer Weekly Call. It's the 15th of May, and this week it's the Gno Core Team edition for the call. You guys have the agenda, you can see the agenda. Big thanks to Leon and everyone who were adding in the updates. I added in one that I just wanted to call out. Yesterday, we had a big announcement. The DevX team released something called No Studio Connect. So it's for Realm interaction. Voila. You can see all of your recent function calls here. You can also vote in our Know Your Date poll. You have the announcement. Would love you guys to give feedback. I don't know if anyone's tried it out yet.
I think I've done 5 demo walkthroughs through the Connect app this week alone.
You have? Like you
Yeah.
yourself, or you've experienced them?
No. Like I think we had a few calls where we like internally tested this out.
I mean, as you guys all know, I'm not an engineer. Surprise. And for me, it's really interesting because I'm able to like now understand a bit better a lot of what you guys talk about because of this. So if you guys could check it out, play around with it, maybe create something with the playground and launch it there, it would be really great. Okay, moving on. Who wants to grab the NoVM debugger update? Is Ray on the call? Or
maybe I can do this.
okay.
So this is a PR that was started a few months ago, and it was stuck, and also it needed more work. So this is what I did at the end, and also I would like to thank all the team members who jumped on the PR reviews and who did an amazing work to to help me to fix this debugger. And the debugger is still young. I'm sure that there is still some issue remaining and some missing features. So, but I would like to wait for some feedback now that the debugger is part of the interpreter. I would like to wait for some feedback before doing more efforts on that.
Mark,
But
you're
yes,
looking for testers?
I'm looking for testers, yes, and also for I'm looking for really field testing. So myself, I tested it on a few realms, on a few small programs, not only pure Go programs, but also some testing programs and some, for example, I tested it on the Game of Life, which was suggested by Danny, I think, or and other programs, but it's still super limited. So I would not be surprised if there is some more bugs. And for that, I need to we need the debugger to be tested on a large amount of different programs and to be sure I cover everything. But otherwise, I believe it's usable. It's still young, but usable and hopefully useful.
Yeah, I just want to say that for the remix ID for the Ethereum ecosystem, I think it took them about like a year or 2 years to actually get like decent debugging step through functionality for Solidity contracts. And like with this, like with Mark's effort, you can actually specify like a remote process. So I'm imagining the IDE team is already hooking this up for debugging and breakpointing. And I mean, already the IDE blows everything else out of the water, but with this, it's just going to be even more insane.
Okay.
Need to write some docs on this.
Shall we move on to the next update? About, I think this is you, Milos, right? Sorry. About increasing the max gas and the
This was Blake from Unblock.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so this PR was essentially us. They were pointing out some issues that they had with deploying contracts. Our previous gas limit on the port loop and just generally like the default was 10 million gas.
Ah, yeah.
Which like for any sane network, I think this is like the standard default gas limit for Ethereum or for most Ethereum networks. It turned out that when they were trying to deploy one of their contracts, it took up around 9 million gas, which means their deployed transaction was the only transaction inside the block, which wasn't great. So they proposed just bumping the gas limit to like some insane amounts, and then after a lot of back and forth, we decided to just do like a 10x bump for the cycle limit and for the max gas limit on the block.
Cool. I guess, does anyone have any questions on this one? Because
sounds good. Good
yeah, I was
for
waiting
good
for
for
Jeff.
stress testing. Yeah.
Okay. If no questions, then let's move on to Antonio's update about overhauling the CI.
Yeah, this was my first PR, like refactoring all the GitHub actions. Right now, when you're contributing to the Gno repository, it will be much faster and more consistent results.
Nice.
On every aspect, from test coverage and things that are starting to be tested on every PR. Like if you are only changing the Gno VM, then only test for the Gno VM will be executed. So yeah, it's my first one. If you go up, you will see like a to-do list for the following steps.
Yep.
I'm implementing code releaser, so we are going to have nightly builds with Docker, binaries, and also standard releases with standard versioning numbers and everything expected. So yeah, keep posted.
Okay, thanks. I like Milos's comment. It's snappier.
Oh yeah, I thought something was broken when I was checking out the PR because the CI ran so fast. I was like, something's wrong. Like we're missing parts of the code base or something like that.
Okay. I think so. Morgan, I don't think is here. I don't know if anyone could just give a quick update on how this impacts other folks since he's out.
Okay, so this was this is actually twofold. So it was a fix for Go type checking within the keeper, and it fixed basically simulations when you were using Gno key to broadcast a transaction. If I'm remembering the PR correctly, what it does is it essentially now gives you certain modes when you're doing like a Gno key transaction. So before you actually broadcast it, it does a simulation and it checks whether or not the transaction actually succeeds. And like what it does is it basically does like a ABCI simulate call, right, behind the hood, and it just gives you the results before actually, going on to the broadcast. Yes, Jeff.
I think it also does some lint checking. It found some subtle syntactical problems in our code also.
Yeah.
Which is very nice.
We added this when you're actually when you're doing the message parsing now. It's doing checks that were previously for some reason only within the client, but not on the actual message processor, which is disturbing because you can't actually implement these checks for all clients that we have. Like you can't implement these checks, for example, on our JavaScript clients. It's just impossible. So yeah, moving this to the keeper code is a much better choice.
Okay, but sorry, just is it a breaking change? You may want to warn people.
No, like
Not with a following PR,
Okay.
which fixed the temporary problem.
Okay.
It's that one, 2111. So
Okay.
yeah, that
Cool.
now it's not breaking, I don't believe. Well, it's breaking if your code had errors in it, which the linter checks. But that's easy to fix. That the error message is clear. So.
Okay.
I suppose the same thing happens with Go, right? If they update a Go version that has a stricter test, then maybe your code won't compile. So, yeah.
I think Gillum aged 10 years while figuring out our Golang CI linter configuration. Because we had this exact same problem. Like they would bump a version of a very obscure linter that we use within like the entire suite, and like our entire CI would fail. And then we had to roll back, and it's like it was a nightmare. But we finally fixed that. Thank you, Gillum.
Okay, then, well, I don't know if there's anything else we want to cover on this one for the team, but otherwise, shall we move on to docs, Leon?
Yeah, sure. It's a quick update. So following the emit PR that was merged probably like a week or two ago, now we have the docs for it, so you can check out well, how you can actually use them. We have this page that's the full page for the GNO events, and then we have a couple of other additions in the reference part and in the effective GNO. And then the second thing is getting started. So getting started got a full revamp. Now it's much more oriented towards new GNO developers or people who want to learn GNO. We're utilizing mainly three main tools, which is GNO, GNOdev, and GNOkey. So there isn't any part in the getting started where you actually need to set up a local node, and you do all of this through GNOdev. And yeah, should be much more smoother for newcomers. Also, there's this interacting with Gno.land code. If you go to that page, Michelle, one sec. On the left.
Local setup?
No, on the sidebar. So interacting with Gno.land code.
Yep.
Yeah, that one. So if you go there you also, there's a mention of the faucet hub. People can get gnots, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, an interesting thing that I thought would be a cool addition is there's actually a realm. And if you see that visit a realm user book, so the link, if you go to that link, that's basically a very simple realm where people can just sign up. And following this getting started, people will be able to just do something on chain once they get started. And I think it's going to leave a nice mark for people to, come in and do something, actually. So yeah, cool, that's about it.
Also, the team is in Belgrade next week, so we will, I guess, be coming to live, mostly all of us, from there. And then we're organizing a Golang meetup there. So Dylan, I don't know if he's on the call, but is going to be presenting on a virtual machine, specifically on NoVM, and the interpreted Go. So it's exciting. I think this is the first time we're actually presenting that publicly, right?
Maybe just focusing on the VM and not on the blockchain.
Yeah, exactly. Pressure.
The idea basically is we want to have two stances. We're facing first the Web3 community, and then we're facing the Golang community. So because we were attending Gopher Cons this year, and last year we were as well, we wanted to try to put forth the VM part and the language part before the blockchain part for that audience. And this is going to be a very nice dry run on some things that we plan for Gopher Cons. So yeah, that's the idea. Andrew?
Yeah, thanks. Is there a link for this meetup? Just curious.
We'll be sharing it very soon. Yeah.
It's about to get tweeted.
Yes.
I'm hoping Andrew and the OnBlock team just show up. Completely random, just show up at the event.
All the way from Korea. Okay, so and I think it's not I think we will have it recorded. So yeah, we'll be able to share it. And it won't be in Serbian, obviously. Dylan is presenting. Okay, so anyway, moving on. On to our section 2, the Gno.land blockchain. Or sorry, does anyone want to add anything to the first section? What to know? Just like the highlights. Did we miss anything? Are there any other additions? All right. Oh, yeah, Andrew.
Yeah, I just want to point out that we added a link in GNOScan that points you straight to the GNO Studio Connect, so you can
Yeah.
search for any realms in GNOScan and try right away in the Connect app.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the Gno.land blockchain section. It looks like Norkel was merged. Well, that's Dylan, do you want to give us a rundown of it? That's
Yeah,
exciting.
sure. It's the main purpose of this was to kind of present a framework that could be used to bring off-chain data on-chain. And so it's pretty basic what we have there, mainly meant to facilitate our verification, like linking GitHub handles with no addresses. So there's a lot of room for improvement on that, in order to maybe bring data on chain from multiple sources and try and reach some kind of consensus or something more complicated. But it's in its basic form now. So if anybody's interested, I'd encourage anyone wanting to contribute to give it a shot.
Oh, can we please make some kind of mascot for Norkel? That would be great.
Go over with a snorkel.
Exactly, right? Anyway. Okay, sorry. So next up is overhauling Gno.land lazy start. Milos, would you be able to give us an intro into this and let us know?
So this is kind of a long-winded story, but I'll keep it very short. Initially, the idea that we had was when you were doing chain initialization. So when you were starting like a separate, completely new blockchain, or you were just starting your own specific node, we wanted to make this process kind of as easy as humanly possible and as less error prone as possible. Even though that's like not always 100%. And like the initial idea behind this PR was we wanted to introduce a command that was called Gno.land init. And what it basically does is it's just a sugar command that wraps two other commands that we have, which is configuration init and secrets init. And what these do, they essentially initialize your node directory with a default config toml. So just like a node configuration that has like default values, and it generates new secrets for you. So the node key, like the P2P key, the validator last signed state, and the obviously like the validator private key. And this is all it did, right? But over the course of the PR, the feedback that we got, we kind of overhauled this, and we realized that we don't actually need this intermediary command, even though like the command itself is like 20 lines of code, because it's just an alias. We swapped over to take like a different approach, which is documenting like the flows that we actually have for initializing the configuration, initializing secrets. But we also took this opportunity to fix some parts of starting a node with Gno.land start, specifically for lazy initialization. So now, after this PR or in this PR, you can start a Gno.land node using Gno.land start -- init. Gno.land start -- lazy. I'm reading init from the screen. And what it's going to do is it's going to regenerate the secrets locally on disk if they're not generated, or they're missing for whatever reason, and it's going to regenerate the configuration locally. This is basically the exact same functionality that you have now, which is like when you do Gno.land start, it kind of does this lazy init out of the box for you without you really knowing that it's doing this. But now it's actually much more explicit, and it's much more the lazy initialization is now optional, and it's much more cleaner. And yeah, in the terminal, it's going to show you what it's actually initializing for you, if it's initializing anything. So you're completely aware whether or not, for example, it regenerated your private key or whatever. Hopefully, you never end up in the situation, but
Yeah, that
yeah.
would be.
It's just a quality of life thing, and it adds some additional documentation. We are going to be expanding the documentation for this through our efforts with Unblock, obviously, and Leon Unblock, because this is part of their actual grant item. And yeah, after this PR, we're actually planning on launching like a mini DevNet cluster that's internal for the core team. I think we have it lined up for next week, probably when everybody's here.
Cool.
So yeah, that's just long story made long story.
So the first multi-node will be next week?
Yeah. I mean, you can start it today, like, but
Yeah, as a
for
team.
us internally within the team, the reason we need like a DevNet cluster is just to make sure everything is running like as it should on master, and it's completely going to be stateless. So anything you push to master, it's going to wipe our DevNet locally. But we are going to have like metrics on it, and we're going to have, logs and stress tested and stuff like that. So
Okay. And I don't know if there are any questions on this.
so yeah, just a note, it's a breaking change if you start your nodes using Gno.land start and you're expecting lazy in it by default. Now you just need to add like the flag -- lazy, and it's going to initialize it for you.
Any questions from the crowd on that one? Because it's pretty cool update. Okay, moving on then. We're adding more telemetry. I think. Okay, is this also you, Milos?
Yeah.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind.
This is also a PR that's part of my telemetry villain arc. I'm building on the foundation that Dylan laid out in his PR a while back. This PR essentially adds additional telemetry to the node. That's, if you've used it before, it's still enabled. It's still disabled by default, so you got to enable it, and you got to have like an exporter running right for open telemetry. And the screenshot I kind of gave in the PR maybe doesn't do it justice, because it was just trying to take like a quick screenshot, but these Grafana dashboards can be made much more prettier. This is just like an example. If you want to actually test this out, you can pull the PR, and inside the PR, I added essentially like an entire subfolder, Mist telemetry, that has a complete Docker setup that you can run locally. So you don't need to download like any kind of open telemetry programs locally and set up Prometheus and set up Grafana. You can just run make up, and it's gonna run everything. It's gonna run the node for you also. So, and like Supernova as well to test and make sure you get any kind of data in the dashboards. So yeah, this is just like a UX thing.
Yeah. This is really I don't know. It feels like we're getting closer to. Yeah. Oh, okay, sorry. So then, is there anyone else who wants to add to the section 2 around Gno.land blockchain from the team, or questions from the crowd about this section? Any other important updates we should share with the contributors?
Yeah, just one important update for test 4.
Okay.
We do these like pruning rounds weekly for tasks and ongoing efforts for test 4, but today we did like a much bigger pruning round where we essentially skimmed the backlog, every task that we had for test 4. Everything that wasn't critical, we kind of moved it out to the rolling release, and everything you currently see on the test 4 dashboard in terms of like tasks and things that people haven't taken up, or things that people have taken up but it's in progress or it's in review, that this should be completely updated. So if you see anything on the to-do list that seems like it's interesting for you, that you would like to take up, we're looking for volunteers as well. So I think most of the tasks actually qualify as like a Game of Realms contribution or something. Michelle, you can probably back that up or something.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. We will hope so. Yeah. So I think I will need to add a link here, right, Milosh, for this one, and then so people can start grabbing if they want to check out the dashboard.
This is also a thing for the core team to remind them that we have 20 or 30 PRs in the review column that
they can review.
As soon as we merge, I think we're closing like 20% of the entire milestone.
Yeah, okay. So core team and contributors. We'll add the link here for the dashboard. If there's nothing, are there any questions on test 4 from anyone? I mean, it's a pretty big milestone, so well, if not, we can move on to the governance and DAO structurization. I think, Manfred, I don't know if you're here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, nothing new this week. I didn't have time to prepare this meeting, but next week I hope that the next week's workshop in Belgrade will unlock the topic once and for all. Because I saw that we had 2 or 3 requests in terms of workshops regarding this topic.
Yeah, one of them being Game of Realms.
Sorry. I was just discussing this with Nimina today. There's like an effort for the test 4 milestone that's specifically like for the DAOs and the governance, and we were like, when are we going to get more details on this? But I'm guessing it was the retreat next week.
Basically, next week the goal is to explain globally the project and then to have a focus on what we need for test 4. What will be the subset for test 4.
So I also have a question for you, Milosh, on the test 4. For like the documentation for like validators or onboarding, that will be public, right? Not majorly promoted, but it will be publicly available on the repository.
No, it's gonna be a plop on our documentation page.
Okay.
I think Leon suggested that we're gonna have like a GNO infra section, and in the GNO infra section, you're gonna have like parts of it which are like setting up your node and connecting to existing networks. But I'm pretty sure that one of the pages is gonna be how to connect to the GNO testnet, like the current testnet or something like that. And we're gonna give you, because we need to give you some parameters, right? Like you can't just do Gno.land start and connect to the testnet. I mean, you can, but it wouldn't be nice to embed something like this, in the client code.
Okay, so it will be on the docs. Okay, that's good to know, because then there'll probably be a lot of interest when that happens as an indicator towards mainnet. Okay, sorry. So moving on to section 4. VM and no, it looks like we're pushing on with the no type check PR. I don't know if Maxwell can make this call. I don't know, Maxwell, are you here, or are you able to give us a rundown?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. This PR is mostly focusing on the GNO type checker. It's a new flow to do the GNO type check. And of some issues. And we are pushing on this PR, and I think it's pretty close, but there's still something that we need to solve, to discuss and to finalize. Yeah, it's still in the review process, but I guess it's close, and yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, and if you I don't know if Dylan here, Dylan, if you may help me if you something I miss.
No, yeah. I think it's pretty close as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's for someone who is not part of the engineering team, it's always nice, this problem definition section and the solution. Yeah, easy to follow. Okay, sorry. So if there's nothing else on this one, we'll move on to the deprecating the current realm path in favor of current realm path. Did I say that?
This is actually something that's been taken up by our meta, which is great. We're just going to be removing. So the idea is basically this. Currently in the STD package, you have the function called current realm path, which just returns the path of the current realm. However, since we actually have the realm struct within Gno, you can actually fetch its field, which is path. So this function will be deprecated and replaced with basically current realm function dot path function. So this is actually a breaking change. So just keep in mind that we will have to update the code in your Gno apps if you're using this. But yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have, as it's a breaking change, any questions on this one or from the group? Okay.
I think the way you actually can just fix per se you just do a control F and then replace one function with the other, and it should be completely fine.
Okay.
So yeah.
This
is my PR. Yeah, this PR has been sitting for some time, it's been blocked, but now it's coming to life back again. It's just about adding a better API for the coins in Gno. So we're going to have constructors. We're going to implement more functions, such as, like, right now we have only the is greater than or equal, but we're going to have more comparisons for coins and generally a nicer UI, nicer API for the coins in Gno. So yeah.
Okay. So, sorry, back to the fixing a global variable issues.
Yeah, Peter is working on fixing up some stuff within the global scope. So when you define global variables, there are some bugs, and Peter has been diligently working on solving these VM issues, which are really convoluted sometimes. So.
Okay. Sorry, and last but not least, transpiling no standard libraries. I guess Morgan's not here. Leon, or
I would be afraid to take this, but I'll try.
It's okay.
Basically, this is a part. This is one of the PRs that Morgan's been working on. One was the Go type checker we just talked about before. But basically, as far as I understand, with those PRs, we can now actually transpile standard libraries instead of doing this weird thing with STD and STD shim. And Morgan gives a very good explanation of why and how this is happening in his PR. So if you are interested in this, please go ahead and read this. But some things should be way more simple after this PR. So yeah.
Okay, if you guys want to check it out more, there it is. It looks like we're at the, sorry, is there anyone that's focused on the VM side and the language side from the team that would like to add any updates for everyone on the call?
Yes, maybe this is something that is almost ready on my side. It's the optimizations of the Go, in fact, of the test coverage. So this is part of the test 4 that will be part of the test 4 effort to improve the coverage, and the PR is almost ready. And on my clone, I'm able to go in fact, to double the coverage, to go from 34% of coverage to 66% for the most important package in the Gno VM, which is the PKG / Gno.land. So this is this will be probably ready quite soon, and the PR is quite simple. I'm still simplifying it, but that will help also to.
Do you have the PR number?
No, not yet, and that's why it's not part of the report yet.
That's
but it's already working on
PR
at home. So
cool. This is part of the benchmarking.
This is part of test coverage. So this is not benchmarking, which is for performance.
Okay.
This is and the numbers is really the amount of code which is well covered by the test. And today this is maybe one of the weaknesses that we have in the way we develop. We have a lot of tests in the project, but they are not located at the right place, and in fact they are not taken into account for the coverage measurement. And at the end, it's damaging because we don't know which part of the code is tested or not. We don't know it precisely, and we could, if the tests were run at the right place, we could. And my PR will fix that. In fact.
Okay. That will be really interesting for test 4. So yeah, okay. Does anyone have questions on this, or anyone else from want to add on like REST VM or the language or? Okay, if there's nothing else to highlight, shall we move to section 5, Tendermint 2? Looks like maybe we need a brief overview or updates from the core team on if there's something we want to highlight here.
There's one thing, actually 2 things that we're planning to work on this week and next week. Specifically, like for Tendermint 2, one of the things is finally adding gas estimations.
Oh yeah.
And this was kind of, I think this was kind of overlooked when we merged in the VM gas consolidation PR, because previously, like we hard coded the gas pricing info in specific like message handlers, and now they're actually taking into account the execution. But we still don't have a way to estimate actual transactions in a way that doesn't require you to sign a transaction, run it through ABCI. And the crazy thing about like the simulation that you have inside ABCI is you need to sign the transaction like that. That's like the easy one, but you also need to give it, the gas data that you're trying to estimate in the first place, which is it's kind of it's like this chicken and the egg problem. So we're actually working on adding either an endpoint. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like an RPC endpoint that is able to estimate a transaction for you. So you just give it a transaction, whether it's signed or unsigned, it doesn't matter. And you don't have to guess like any of the gas values. You just give the transaction, and the node will execute the transaction and tell you how much gas it used. So just to give you like a brief ballpark value for what kind of gas values you should be putting for the gas fee and the gas wanted. And the other thing we're working on, I think it's also like one of the major tests for efforts, is seeing how we can integrate the validator set as part of like an actual realm, and not as part of like a file, like on your file system or within the Genesis, or within like the history of the blocks, right? Like we're trying to figure out how we can store the current validator set within a realm and have the node protocol level read it from the realm. This is also like part of the test for efforts that we're working on. So yeah, I think these are the things that we're covering for Tendermint 2 within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. So I think this is a first at 45. So I'm going to say, does anyone feel like we missed any updates to share with the community that we didn't cover here? Or if you want to post them in the chat also. I will check. Okay, so none of that. But I wanted to open up for questions. If anyone has questions on what we've covered. Is there any task available for contributions?
It's I think there will be an opportunity, maybe not this time, but when the coverage test PR will be ready. In fact, there will be a huge opportunity to make simple additions to the test in order to complete the coverage, and that will be possible at that time to in fact to compare directly the impact of a test and see if it improves the coverage or not, and to verify that a line in the package which is not covered will be covered by the test. And at that time, that will open an opportunity, even if you are not comfortable with the in fact with the engine, just by writing test, in fact, to improve drastically the quality of the project. And that will be super nice to see more tests and to complete the test coverage and to have something like more than 80%. And for information, this is the strategy I followed for the debugger, and the debugger is covered at 96% of test coverage today.
And there's no specific tasks for the debugger. It's more so yeah. Okay, Miller shared the link of the project board, I think, with Alexandre.
Yeah, the project board. So anything that's in to do that's unassigned, we're looking for help, and anything that's an issue on the official mono repo, that's like a good first issue it's also looking for help. And there's also a label help wanted, I think, that I didn't include here, but yeah. Or if you see anything that you want to fix, or you think it should work differently or something like that, you can always open a PR. This is how we actually get the best contributions, is people have a use case and they see what we built and they say, okay, well, I need, this use case for X, Y, and Z, and I can make it 10 times better. And they usually make it 10 times better. And it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Oh, yeah. And I think just to Alexandre's point about outdated, I think because of all the pruning and all of the focus, right, a lot has been updated.
Yeah, I think we'll need to organize, actually probably next week, just going through all of the issues, at least the ancient ones, going through the issues and going through the PRs and that have been open on the repost. And it's I'm not even joking. We have PRs from 22.
Yeah.
Just to figure out what we want to do with them, either close or just migrate it to an issue or something like that. Just so it's much easier for people like Alexander who come to repo and say, okay, how can I contribute? They can open, the issues list, and they can automatically see, okay, the team needs help on X, Y, and Z. There's also an official Gno.land core team board, I think, a project on GitHub projects that's not related to the test for effort. So anything that's there, you can also check out.
Yeah, and we are, well, Morgan's not here, but we are working also on a bounty board and system. So tangentially related to Game of Realms. Okay, are there any other questions from other folks on the call? If you don't want to speak or say anything, it's okay. We can just maybe put it in chat.
Oh, I have a question for Alexander. Alexander, is your PR the Go releaser one that we closed? Oh, okay.
Yes, that's it.
I'm sorry about that.
Don't worry.
Yeah, it was. We had like this effort planned out ahead of time and kind of like fixed ideas on how we wanted to do it. And I'm sorry because it's obviously a good contribution, but we closed it in favor of something else that we merged. But yeah, I hope it
It's
doesn't
okay, don't
discourage
worry.
you to contribute.
That's actually a good point, though. Just for the future of Game of Realms, things like that. Considering contributions that don't necessarily get merged but are good, because there's a design in mind from the team. Something to consider.
Yeah, that's a burden on our end to just document these things.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're early, done early. So if there's nothing else that or Jeff?
I'll never say that.
Okay.
If nobody
Make the
else has anything, given the help today, I was able to make a step on this. I put it in the chat. This is the bug where if a transaction runs out of gas, it can freeze the virtual machine because it's trying to dump its memory. And there was the idea that a recent PR to improve that dump would prevent the freeze, but it doesn't. So there's the TX star in 1736, which still does the same thing. After putting a few items in a AVL tree and then doing something which makes it run out of gas, then it still freezes. So I just mentioned this because it was a follow-up from a previous GoDev dev call, and it sometimes is a blocker for us doing some of our testing if we lose the virtual machine. So I just mentioned that.
Yeah, I discussed this issue today with Petar because I was under the false impression that the PR that we had fixed it, but it didn't. And he's taken up work on this actually too.
Well, yeah, check out the TX star in 1736. It's super easy to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually appreciate that you've reported the issue and also gave us like the thing that we can run to verify it. So thank you.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome. That's it.
Yeah, this is an interesting PR, and in fact, we have planned with Morgan to get back to the way the stack is dumped and the panic are dumped, and this is clearly a place where we can improve, and I will use this scenario to test that.
Cool. Thank you. I will not attempt to use up the last 6 minutes. I'll stop here.
I mean, if you have pressing things, feel free to ask them. But
No.
And honestly, if anyone else wants to jump in, like don't hesitate. This is really the time. I know we go through a lot of technical things, and it's for some of the newcomers, but it's also really a great opportunity to jump in and ask questions. I'm doing it, so yeah. I just wanted to remind everyone to encourage them. We have an agenda, but it's really open to take time to pick the brains of the core team and contributors. So, but if there's nothing that anyone wants to pick the brain on, we can call it a wrap. And then, yeah, you'll see us next week. Most of us coming live from Serbia, from Belgrade. So stay tuned. Okay, thanks all for your time, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.